I've just finished writing an expose on NASA's blunders when it comes to mean surface temperature of the planet, and this comes to looking at the Terra satellite results. This Terra satellite was installed in space in 2020, and it's since been reading Earth's surface temperature, of course. And the means derived from this observation of Earth's surface temperature do not account for Earth's temperature at night by NASA's admission themselves. And I've written an article about this, explaining how this is not good enough, of course. This is not an accurate reflection of Earth's mean surface temperature. Obviously, since if it's 3 degrees hotter than, or 2 degrees hotter rather than the average temperature of the Sahara Desert, both day and nighttime temperature, then it's of course not good enough science. What I also gained out of this was through my own back of the envelope calculations, a mean surface temperature for the Earth that sort of accords with this idea that I've had that Earth's surface temperature isn't that much different from the Moon's at minus 18 degrees centigrade. And I've gained this in a variety of ways. We're taking the average of Antarctica's temperature and the average of the Sahara Desert's temperature. That came out at minus 17 degrees. Then I took the average from the highest temperature ever recorded and the lowest temperature ever recorded, and that came out at minus 16 degrees C. So what we're looking at, is an average temperature for Earth's surface, which doesn't diverge all that much from the temperature of the Moon. So the implications of this is actually that Earth's atmosphere has no bearing on global warming at all, or global cooling, and that the Earth's atmosphere doesn't particularly affect the temperature, which is a bizarre thing to think about, and I know it runs counter to a lot of people's intuitions at this point, but that really is the fact, I'm sorry to say. The Earth's albedo reflects as much incoming radiation as is absorbed, and the albedo includes, of course, greenhouse gases themselves. Greenhouse gases absorb and re-emit incoming particles of infrared radiation from the sun, meaning that the greenhouse gases themselves also cool the planet, unfortunately enough. And it must be something astrophysical going on that's really causing the global warming, if indeed it's not just a narrowing of error bars and an increasing in our accuracy of our measurements over time and anomalies creeping into the measurements, which after all have been only going on since the 1960s or so. But this is the big smoking gun for a new stage in planetary science, whereby we discount the effects of the atmosphere entirely, and we go back to Newton's laws, Newton's third law, of course, that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right. So that for every particle coming in that gets shifted from the visible end of the spectrum to the infrared end of the spectrum, that gets reflected off the atmosphere back towards Earth, there's another particle coming in of infrared radiation getting reflected back out into space. And this is what Isaac Newton meant when he said that, is these sorts of things. This is, of course, the laws of motion, laws of momentum, laws of forces. Light, of course, is a force-carrying object. It is a force in itself, light. And the Earth has this reflective capacity, in addition to its greenhouse capacity to absorb radiation, hold on to it, release it again, and send it back towards the planet. So it's this reverse greenhouse effect, this effect of the albedo in addition to the greenhouse effect, that causes the planet's surface, on average, to not be any warmer or colder than that of the Moon's on average. So this completely undermines the idea actually of climate change in general by human causes. And it's certainly not greenhouse gases in the environment, it couldn't be. We could be moving closer to the sun. The sun, for one reason or another, could be emitting more energy than it has in the past, particularly on its corona, particularly from nothing, stuff we can do nothing about, like gas, dust, rock, built, burning up on the corona as it travels through interstellar space, the sun. As I said, NASA are wrong, deeply, badly wrong on this. What is to be done? A lot of backtracking, I think, backpedaling.